that are watching us from somewhere in this planet. So today we should continue with this book, Times of Health and Conscientiousness. And Kirsten's supposed to be here today, but she needs to um, be with her mother just today because her mother was not feeling well. We send the blessings to her, but we are here as a plan B, right? So, and we're gonna develop this chapter together, right? Because for me, it was also last moment. As I told you, I said, look, I'll try to do the best, bring the text and discuss with whatever was gonna be at the center. And this chapter in part 2, chapter 13, talk about discernment, right? It's something that is very important for us as immortal spirit to have discernment, because no matter what, even if we don't want to do anything, we are making a decision not to do anything, right? And that will bring some consequence, right? So discernment is this driving force of the spirit that will help in the how fast the spirit will evolve, how fast we're gonna evolve based on our discernment. In other words, our decisions, the decision that we'll make in our lives. So let us dive in on the chapter. So Joanna de Angeli, from the beginning of the book, she starts by saying, in classical antiquity, the Greeks explained that human beings are rational animals, and that to achieve full development, they should use reason. So she already established here a condition for us to achieve the full development. In other words, for us to progress and to become more, I would say, enlightened, spiritual speaking, right? So we should take advantage of the use of reason. We're going to bring what reason is and what this faculty has to do with our evolution. And then she continued by saying, the acquisition of reason, however, takes place through effort exerted by the mind by an orderly approach. So pretty much he's saying here that the center of our evolution is our mind. Our mind is responsible to create good thing or bad thing that will bring to us an opportunity for us to do this in a very systematically way, organized way, right? And how organized and systematic we do things will determine how fast we'll move, right? So just picturing an environment that is disorganized, right? If you need to look for something in our office that is full of paper, books, is not organized. So the amount of time that will take for you to find something in that environment will be proportional to the organization of that room. So in another word, is imperative for us to make our decision in a way that those decisions will not take too much of our time in terms of evolving, right? Spiritual speaking. So then she says, the mind can become a heaven or a hell, depends on the direction given to one's thought. So the idea that heaven and hell is a place, she's already saying here, is not a physical place, it's a state of mind, right? We can find people living right now in this planet that if we ask, how is your life? And because of the suffering and all the tribulation that this person may go through, she or he may come to you and say, my life is a hell, right? Oh, my life is wonderful. So we reflect the state of mind that we have. So Joanna de Angelis is pretty much saying here something that we already know. We are not here talking from the perspective that we are living 5,000 years ago. We are talking from the perspective that we are living in the year 2024. So it is important for us to stop and look at back and see how much we have evolved intellectually and spiritually, a little bit morally, to, know that we have a faculty that was granted by the Creator that is so important for us at the end of the day, for us to take responsibility in our decisions. So our mind that is this, acquisition of the spirit, is very important in this process of discernment that Joanna is going to bring to us. So since we are talking about reason, the question here is, what is reason? Anyone would like to say something here? I can't repeat here in the microphone. What is reason for you? What is reason for you, Wendell? Common sense, Agnes just said from the back. For you, Paulo, what's reason is? Analytical thinking. Yes, everybody here is updated. Okay, so we may say that reason is the faculty that organized and integrate facts, events, right? In a simple word, it's what you guys said is all the above. So then the question is, what are facts, right? Facts are propositions that correspond with reality. So it becomes a reality, an event or something that happened in our life. Even if we wanted to deny, I can deny some fact, but for you is a reality. For example, if you come and say to me, Daniel, I'm feeling hot, and I'm not feeling hot. I mean, for me, that's not a fact because I'm not feeling hot. But if you say that you're feeling hot, that's a fact for you. So correspond with a reality that one imply or bring, right? If I say, I'm feeling a headache, and you look at me and say, I'm not feeling a headache. So for you, there is no fact because we are not experiencing that proposition. We're not experiencing. So it's something that is personal, but in the same time can be something that can become collective. So there is also a subdivision of fact, right? But in this case, here, fact are proposition, are situations that correspond with a reality, right? How do we obtain facts or events or experience? Through the senses, right? How do I know that this room is cold, hot? Because I have senses that can measure, can record that. So, or if someone is feeling sad, or something it tastes good, because we use our senses. We have at least 5 senses, physically speaking, right? Therefore, we can say that reason is the ability to comprehend reality direct to our senses. Now you may ask, Daniel, what is senses? I mean, we know what senses is, the common 5 senses that we have, right? But from the evolutionary process, how this sense was developed since the creation of the spiritual principle, going through different kingdoms, the animal kingdoms, the vegetable kingdoms, and now in this level that we are, the human kingdom. Well, in the book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 11, item 8, there is a communication from a spirit. I forgot the name of the spirit now. But it's a spirit's communication where it's something related to love. I forgot the title. Love is something related, the evolution of love, something like that. And the spirit mentioned that in the first paragraph, that initially we are only instinct. only instinct. And then we evolved to a, that he says, corrupted sensation. So now we move to the level of the sensation. So right now, in the level that we are in the human, so if we talk about the extinct, let's go to the primitive, from the animal kingdom. As the spirit becomes individualized, um, the first the first stage of the spirit, we are more instinct than reason, right? So and then we start to evolve. So, but then from the instinct comes the sensation, and until nowadays we have sensation, right? But the sensation that we have, some of the sensation is corrupted in the sense that it is sensation that's just to fulfill the needs of the physical body, not the needs of the spirit, right? And then the next stage would be feelings. But this feeling here is the educated feelings. So the spirit mentioned like that we have this feeling, but now we need to educate this feeling. So a feeling that is educated will help us in our spiritual evolution, right? So this for us to, before we go and discuss about discernment, we need to take in consideration those elements that we have that will be important for us, or will tell us how our discernment will be made, right? So if we are only live in the instinct era, so our discernment will be very, very drastic, very animalistic, if we can say, right? So going back to Joanna. So we brought this so we can understand what Joanna wanted to bring us about this chapter, discernment. Joanna says, discernment results from practicing the art of thinking. Very interesting, right? The art of thinking. Why is she saying that? And what is thinking? So just let's go back. We have our mind that generate our thing that can be expressed as thought, right? So once I think, I manifest that through thoughts, right? So she's saying that as we practice and think, our discernment becomes more, purified. She said discernment result from practice the art of thinking. So in another word, if we don't practice thinking, which means even if we have discernment, it's not going to have a good outcome. But if we are not thinking, then why do I need to make decisions, right? So in that way, if we go to the animal kingdom, the animal doesn't need to, they don't have reason yet. The thinking process is very rudimentary, it's very limited. It's just related to preservation and procreation, right? So it's like to feed their body and to protect themselves. That's pretty much what they do. The animal is not think about, if it's gonna, why it's cold, why it's hot. No, they just leave that moment without emit those reason that we human being has, right? So, and she says, discernment result from practicing the art of thinking, which should grow properly, providing the individual with the perception right and wrong of what is just and what is I don't know how to, abominable. I'm so glad we have friends here that can help me to pronounce this very difficult word to say. I know what it means. Don't get me wrong. I know the meaning. I know the meaning. I just don't know how to pronounce that. So, and then very interesting, because once she's bring this condition that discernment result from practicing the art of thinking, she now put us two methodologies. She gives two options. Or she tried to telling us that in order for us to develop that reason, there is pretty much two approach that we, the immortal spirits, takes, right? And that's what we're gonna express here. Methodology for the development of reason. The one is the art of always thinking, always. The other one is what to think about it, what's going on in our mind, right? So, so for the first one, she says that the requirement for the first one, the art of always thinking, require education by means of constant thinking, since its function develops the centers through which it's manifest, consequently increasing the ability to always thinking. So in another word, in plain language, she's telling here that if we wanted to make discernment, good discernment in our life, we need to think about it as much as we think. For example, let's bring this to a very practical way. You need to move, right, to another state. So in order for you to make this movement, you need to think about several parameters, right? You have to ask question. Is this move beneficial to me? Is this move will bring some, suffering to my family? Is this, so as we thinking, so as much as we think, we are practicing this. So our decision is proportional to the level of education that we have. Intellectual education and moral education, right? So that's why she's saying here that we can acquire the art of always thinking. Because she says, and we're going to see in the next slides, that majority of the time, we don't want to think about it. Right? For example, there are people that don't want to think about death, as if it is something that will never occur to her or to him or to, They don't want it. They don't know how to deal with the topic of death. They don't want to discuss about. So what happened when a loved one dies? They're not going to be able to make good discernment how to behave. Some people does not want to invest in their education. What happened as this person grow up and try to find a good job? It's going to be kind of like complicated. I'm not saying that people that doesn't have intellectual education is not going to have a good job. That's not what I'm saying. Is that the probability for you to make this good discernment is proportional to certain condition that's related to our education, right? That's why Joanna is saying here, requires education. She does not discuss about what to think about because it's implied that, it's personal, right? What's going on in our mind 24/7, right? There is a case in the book Action and Reaction about Andrea Luiz and what's it, Vincent? I forgot the name of the other. Hilario. Andrea Luiz and Hilario. They wanted to learn about the process of obsession. So they know a case that a brother killed other brother because they wanted to keep all the the profits, wanted to become rich, and so the brother that was killed, was murdered, now is obsessing his nephew, that is the son of the brother that stayed. And so Andrea Luiz and Hilario want to know the mechanism. So Andrea Luiz and Hilario disguise themselves as, inferior spirit and go to do like a kind of internship with that spirit that now is creating a plot to obsess and to make his brother and nephew, his brother bankrupted and his nephew to kill himself, something like that. So, and after observing, talk to this spirit, so he asked a question, $1 million question. How do you influence someone? How do you obsess? Well, not obsess, but how How is this mechanism, mind to mind? So the Spirit said, that's very easy. First, we study the person and we see what is the, I forgot how to say this in English. What is the, not the weakness, is the, what is the central desire of the person? The central desire of the person. So, for example, I'm going to put in myself as someone that will be obsessed, right? So the Spirit is going to observe me 24/7, and they look at what is going on in my mind during a day. So Daniel, during this whole day, what he's think about? He's think about what? Money, about get rich, about becoming rich, about soccer, about sport. So you know me that I'm about soccer. No, not. Soccer is just like 10%, right? About spiritism, about help others, about, take care of the family. What's going on in Daniel's mind? So whatever goes in the mind of the person, that is the door. That is the door that they will open. Not they will open, we open, right? They will get in our minds and then potentiate that. For example, if your feelings is to, do something that's not according to God's law, they're going to potentiate that. And then, when you less expect, you do the thing that will get in trouble. The central desire. So now, homework for all of us. In order for us to make discernment, this is going to be proportional to our, how much thinking we are putting in certain thing in our life. So our discernment is going to be proportional to that, right? If I'm spending my day, my job, trying to help people, try to help ourselves, cultivate positive thoughts. So those that wanted to potentiate that will help me to cultivate positive thoughts, right? So that is the key question here, is the education. When we talk about education, we are talking about an education that could be for positive things, and the education that also for negative things. Always we have the two side of the what you say education. And some people using the intellectual, especially intellectual faculty, to take advantage of others, right? So moving on, since we are talking about this discernment, the capacity that we have to make decisions, what Kardec asked about good and evil, and this is in the Spirit's book. So I want to bring these two questions for us to analyze, because we may say, oh, but I don't know if this is good or bad. What is this good or bad? I don't know if I eat or drink this, is this good or bad? Maybe it's not bad, I'll do it. So how can we distinguish between good and evil? We already discussed this question before. Good is everything that is in harmony with the law of God, and evil is everything that deviates from it. Thus, doing what is good conform to God's law, while doing evil infringe upon the law. Daniel, let's ask the spirits. Enlightened spirits. But I don't know I'm still like not yet. Did I answer the question? Well, you need to know God. It's the only way here. So good is everything that's in harmony with the law of God. So if you don't know God, the probability to do something that's not good increases because you don't know God. So if you don't know God, maybe you don't know the divine laws, right? So it's just like a mechanism that we, and here is something that, as reading this question and answer, is already bring an opportunity for us to think about it, what he's saying, what the Spirit is saying here to us, and how we're going to implement this information in our life. 632, Kardec continues asking, since humans are prone to error, couldn't they be mistaken, discerning good from evil, and believe that they are doing what is good, when in reality they are doing what is evil? So when we talk about evil here, we are talking the absence of goodness, right? It's not that God create evils, it's that because we are create simple and ignorant. So is the, is the capacity that we not have yet to do good. So we, by, if you're not doing good, naturally we are doing something that's evil, right? So the answer is, Jesus has said to you, do unto others what would you like, what would you want them to do unto you. That sum up everything. Obey it, and you will never go wrong. So there is here what Jesus said here. There is it's not a level, but it is a condition that we need to apply every time we wanted to do something to other, or if we wanted to make a decision or discernment. We always think, what is that? A parameter. Yeah, that's a good word. There is a parameter here that we need to use. So, and by using that parameter, we may be fulfilling God's law. Because, for example, if someone is doing something that's not good, and they, as Kardec asked, they think that what they are doing is good, they will do this with other, or they will suggest other people to do it, right? Oh, do this. This is good. It's not bad. But in fact, since the person has not yet acquired the discernment of this God's law, the divine law, their parameter that they are using is very low parameter, right? Daniel, is this is wrong? No, this is just the process, the natural process of evolution. If we look at humanity, we're gonna see that in the beginning, we don't think much. As human beings, the process, although we already have the embed on us the process of thinking and the reason, majority of the time is just for self-preservation, right? Until we start the process of educate ourselves and create laws, took millennia until we reach this level that we are. So, but nowadays there is no excuse for us to look at back and see how much we have evolved, and we are in a level that we can make decision or make discernments that will complicate our life less, right? Or not? Sorry, I see some text message here. Okay, let's move on. Now, how to increase the ability to think hours, So as we read the chapter, the first question is, okay, we asked the question to Joanna, and Joanna already answered the question before even we asked the question, right? So she said, it is essential to combat mental laziness, that generators of inattention, torpor, and difficulty in concentrating. So pretty much she's saying look, be active, be proactive, right? So, but when we talk about mental laziness, what mental laziness is this that she's talking about? Can you guys give an example of mental laziness? I mean, she's already defined torpor, the difficulty in concentrating, in attention, we cannot focus in something. What is that? An example. A personality that goes along with the crowd. The ones that don't question much what they see around, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah. No, yeah, that's mental laziness. Yeah. So Joanna mentioned, like, that we learn that we thinking, we don't stop thinking. And she said, this is kind of like a fallacious. This kind of like, it is not like this. I mean, like, when we talk about thinking, we are talking about the active process of thinking, right? Because we know that being a spirit, we have this continual thinking, right? If you compare to animals. But the question is, how much or how many of those thoughts become a reality in our life? Like how much this become conscious in our life, right? Is very little. They say that we think about 60,000 different thoughts a day. 60,000 is a lot of thoughts, right? That could go through our mind. How many become like, how many of those thoughts we are aware of the 60,000? They say, psychologists say between like 60 to 80,000 different type of thoughts. For example, right now I'm here, I'm fully aware that I need to communicate this well. I'm not thinking about, now I'm starting to think about my family. So you see, so now bring back my thought here, look at you guys, see your expression, if this message is be delivered in a way that you guys understand. So I mean, like, it's a lot of different things that going on in your mind every millisecond. But how much of this thought we become aware, and how we use those thoughts to make our discernment. So yeah, I think what you guys said is exactly what Joanna is bringing to us. That we even go with the crowd, as you mentioned. Like we don't have like individual. We don't analyze a fact or a event that happened, or we don't want to engage in subject that we may judge that is not important. But if we don't engage in some subject, those that are working those subject, the later those subject may impact our life, right? So we always need to use our thinking in a way that will bring benefits, not only individual one, but collective, right? So when we talk about discernment, we are talking about judgment. We need to judge, not in the negative sense of judging. Is judge, is this decision, is this behave that I have, is this approach in life, is the way. So this is what Joan is bringing to us, is for us to become this self-awareness beings in the society, right? So and then she continue by saying, electing the kind of thoughts to cultivate is a highly important step for discernment, to manifest conscientiousness in the choosing of the codes of behavior that will be incorporated into one's lives. Highly important step. So the question here is like, what type of thoughts are we cultivating? So this go back to the example of the central desire, right? What type of sentiment I'm emitting? What type of thoughts is going on in your mind, in our mind, daily speaking? Is our thought more related to work? I mean, we should be worried about work as we are at work. Once we go home, then it's another story. So work needs to stay at work. And now you're going to work at home, so your focus is at home, right? So you are here in the Spirit Center, our thought, our focus is here, right? In this environment. So Joanna is inviting us to elect, good thoughts. Although she's not saying here, but she's just saying, the type of thoughts that we have, type of behave. I mean, when we talk about behaviors, are the manifestation of those traits that we already cultivate in our mind, right? So, how important is discernment in our life? So she said, discernment brings thinking individual psychology maturity, and by extension, emotional maturity. Therefore, they discover their own importance in their social group and strive to fulfill their duties. So we bold a couple of words over there because we wanted to fix what, how important it is for us to make good discernment. So in the level of the that we have our reason, we are making decisions, right? But the question here that Joanna want to bring us is like, is our decision impact in a positive way your life, the life of those that surround you? That's the question we need to ask, right? So, and that's why she brought education as one of the important things for us to cultivate and to make better decisions in our life. So, psychological maturity. So we become a more mature in the sense that, so when we talk about maturity here, we are talking about what? It's getting old. Is getting old synonym of maturity? Everybody shake their head here saying no. So you can shake your head over there as well, watching us. No. What is the parameter that determines the maturity of a person? Take responsibility for their action is one of them. Maybe how long that spirit has been incarnated, right? Like the spiritual advancement of that, spirit, that person, right? Because we can see young people that, spiritually speaking, they are seems a little bit ahead, right? Based on our parameter, right? So it's not the age, but it is, how much responsible we are, how much um, you put that sentence that Jesus said, do to other what. So that's is the measurement that we see that the person is a little bit is more mature than those that doesn't do it. So by default, if we have psychological maturity, of course, emotional maturity comes next, right? It's supposed that we also have that, and to have those conditions in your life, this is gonna help you to, you know, um, fulfill our duties in our society, in our family, right? We see nowadays, for example, be parents, right? For those that there is no training for that, right? We see that there is people that get together for parent children that is so mature to do that. There is those that is not yet there, right? And we see that's why we see a lot of broke families in our planet. So we don't want it to point finger, but we are not perfect in everything, because if we were, we should not be here. But since we are here, we see some people is a little bit ahead than others, and some qualities that we have other doesn't have, and vice versa. So that's why we are living together in this planet of trial and expiation, because some of us can help, and at the same time we are helped by those that's a little bit ahead of us. Also, she continues say, as it's passed through the talking about the spirit now, as it passes through the die of reincarnations, the spirit develops the higher qualities that lies in seed state, and in contact with the experience of reason, provide the conditions for that development, dignifying their honors and encourage their self-realizations. The goal of rebirth, the objective for which we were all created. So higher quality. So pretty much what we say, like, going to this process of many reincarnation, many lives, we supposedly hope that we learn, right? So if nowadays in this incarnation we identify in our lives certain virtue that is very difficult for us to acquire, don't worry. We're gonna have an opportunity to master it, to work on that. The important here is that we become aware that those traits and those behave that is very difficult for us to master, we become aware of that and we work to make those better conditions to our life, right? This is the challenge that we all have here as incarnated beings. So she finalized this chapter with a question from the Spirit's book that Kardec asked, question 189, when Kardec asked, and I'll explain why she asked this question, because it's tied to this topic of discernment. And Kardec asked the spirits, from the time it is first formed, does a spirit enjoy the fullness of its faculties? What do you guys think? You guys now are the superior spirit. Answer. What do you think? What would we answer Kardec from? Oh, you already said no, it's not. Okay, let's see what they say. Let's see if you guys are tuned with the high spirituality. No, you got it. Like a human being, a spirit has its infants. So for those that has been studying the Spirit's book on Thursday, so this past Thursday, we have a nice discussion. Julio Padovan, that will be with us here next week, gave a very nice with his model. He has graph, and show everything very detailed. For us to understand this process of the creation, the intelligent beings, from the intelligent beings to the spirit. So that phase that we are created simple and ignorant and go to different phases, different kingdom until we become spirit, right? So even when we become spirit, so we are still in the human being level, as it means like a human being. So we still have a period. I mean, in this case here, the answer is compared to us now. We are born as a little baby, and then we have the infant period, and then the adolescence, and so on to become matured, right? We are talking about one lifetime. But in terms of the spirit, that's also apply, right? So then, in this book, Recipe for Peace, Self-Awareness, there is a chapter called Self-Awareness, chapter 6. Joana de Angelis says like this: self-awareness is having a clear and realistic perception of who you are. Self-awareness is not about uncovering a deep, dark secret about yourself, but understand who you are, why you do what you do, how you do it, and the impact this has on others. I am. You see the picture over there that we put over there, and if you look at like the sentence inside of the man over there, he is very. This is a cartoon that. So discernment has to do with our thinking process. The quality of our thinking has to do with our education, how we educate these thoughts, has to do to our spiritual evolution, right? So, and also, at the end of the day, has to do with our self-awareness. Are we aware about ourselves? I would say not all the time, and those that know us the best is our enemies, right? They know us the best because they look at things on you that, you don't acknowledge. Or in another way, those that live close to us, all right? Our families, those are the one that know us the most because they can see us 24/7. They can see all our, true colors, as we say here, right? Because in general, sometimes we just show one type of color that's not the reality. We have these multiple, different type of colors, right? And to finalize the chapter beautifully, saying the development of the intelligence and sentiment gives rise to conscientiousness and to discernment. Self-awareness, enlightened thinking, it's very important for us, especially when we are discussing about a situation, about other person, right? I think Emmanuel says something very interesting. He says that right now, the amount of evil thought that's being meeting is greater than the good ones. So just for us to think about it, in a planet of trial and expiation, evil is still prevail. Still like 51% and 49% is goodness. I would say I'm just joking here. This number is not written anywhere. But if the amount of evil thing, even in the sense that we did not know yet God's law, that's the answer. We are doing evil because we are not yet fully educated about the divine laws. The message that was brought to us 2,000 years ago by Jesus is still being used in a corrupted way. It's a message that has been used to divide people, not to unite them. Right? And the interpretation of the teaching has been used to benefit certain groups and exclude others. And we forgot that at the end of the day, we are all children of the same creator, right? So the process of discernment is very important for us individual, but also for a society that wanted to really move on in a more evolved, to a more evolved level in our planet. So I would like to stop here and see if we have comment online. Agnes, if we have a question and comment here. I know that this topic of discernment sometimes is very personal, but we are bringing here the approach that our dear benefactor, Joana Jangeli, has brought to us through our dear friend and brother, Divaldo Franco, in this book, Times of Health and Conscientiousness. Comment or question? Oh, you wanted the microphone? Paul, you wanted to make any comment? I know that you read the chapter, right? Okay, but what's your input on that, on this chapter? So, it's straight to the point. Is something that I'm missing here?
I just want to review.
Now put the microphone.
Hello.
Yeah.
I just want to review the word fact
Okay.
because facts are really under fire right now.
Yeah.
And the way I organize it in my thinking is I have perceptions that are just mine when I look at reality. But if I want to move to a fact level, I think more like how Kardec assembled several mediums to kind of like fact check their
Yes.
messages.
Yes.
So that's what I think of as a fact. It's not really a personal perception
Yeah.
because then it becomes too relative, but it's something that's more a tested out norm.
Exactly. It's more accepted by more people and verified,
Who
right?
have a good grasp of reality
Yeah.
too, because that's another thing that gets distorted by your needs or your
Yeah.
belief systems. So that's really what I was
Yeah.
meditating on. And then the other is this word of discernment. It's very helpful as we are evolving out of judging others, because judging seems instinctive,
Yes.
coming out of like lower levels of development and fear. But when you take the time to discern, and that requires more effort. You're looking at, is my behavior or their behavior helpful or harmful to self and others? And that's, you have to do that.
Yes. Yeah, the word discernment imply that you are put in a position between two things, right? Because if I don't have to make a decision, you only make a decision when we have two different options. If there is only one option in life, I don't need to worry about make any discernment, any decision, right? But what you said is right. I mean, the word facts go beyond of perception. There is individual perception that can be a fact for that person, but since we are collective beings, when we talk about fact, and then we can't. I mean, we don't have time for that. But when we go to the scientific research, for example, a result to be accepted as a true, as a fact, they need to be verified. They need to be peer-reviewed by others in the same field. So, for example, here, if all of us here comes and says, this room is very cold, and everybody's agree, then this become a fact, right? But if only one person say, well, this room is cold, and the others say it's not cold, so them is a perception that is a fact only for you. And that is the dangers that we have been going on through humanity. It's not now only, but when we look at back, how society, how, kings and political leaders use that to benefit just their party, is very clear that is more in the discernment that's not for the common good. Just small group was benefit for that. So in that sense, will is not, definitely is going to become a corrupted fact, right? So there is I can, yeah, I can read. Yeah. So let's see here. Are you sure? Okay. Okay, I can see now. Yeah, maybe, yeah. The menu then is over there. Oh, okay, sorry. You see? I'm just okay, but I cannot see the question. You can read. Can you read over there in the back, the mic?
This is from Sarah. She says, "Great talk. I wish I had discernment when I was growing up, but we all learn through our mistakes and will continue to do so until the day we die."
Yeah, and what Sarah is saying apply to all of us, right? I mean, like it's not that Sarah, and I would like thank you for the question and the fact that you are not yet in the level that you're not gonna make the our discernment is not gonna be good. So we are learning, we all are learning, even those the oldest person this planet is still making some mistake. But it's good for us to realize that and to become self-aware that, oh my goodness, look at back, that decision, that discernment I made now brought me here. But here is the I would say the positive side of that. So it's by making mistake that will make us a better person one day. Because those that doesn't make mistake has no parameter what is good, what's work, what's not work, right? So as long as we recognize that our mistake was not positive, now we need to work not to make the same mistakes, right? Wendell, you have a comment, question?
Yes, just a comment, Daniel. It is about the question 632 about misinterpretation of good and evil. And the answer that the spirits gave about following Jesus' recommendation about doing to others only what you expect them to do to yourself. But I always think that sometimes we have the wrong, but we are sure that something that is harmful is good for us, and we think that we should do the same to the others. So we can go in a wrong way in this interpretation of some consequences. So thinking about this, I think that maybe I like the way you ended the presentation, because relating discernment to consciousness, because I think that among all the conditions that you gave us to achieve a good discernment, like education and thinking, I think that consciousness is key, because first we have to uncover our consciousness, meaning sometimes I can disguise my conscience, and, I can believe that's something, believe that in something that is not true, just to make me comfortable towards my consciousness. So first I have to uncover my consciousness, and then I have to dig deeper, dig deep in my conscience, in order to find discernment. Otherwise, I will only be acting according to education, which sometimes is not education, is just instructions. And sometimes I am thinking and being reasonable according to what I believe, and sometimes what I believe is not according to God's law.
Yes, perfect. And let's just pick up like one lifetime in our life, personal lives here in this moment. So, how many things that Sarah mentioned that when we look back, we are kind of 100% that what we're doing is the right thing. And now, when you look at back and because now we have more elements. And I think what we're saying is that sometimes our decision or discernment, even we can claim that, oh, I'm self-aware of the situation. But the elements that you have to make the discernment is not enough if we look at 10 years from now, right? So that's why I think when we are making discernment, or we are going to make decision, of course, we're going to grab the elements that we have in that moment. But one thing that we forget, and that I think Emmanuel said to us, Emmanuel, yes, he said that we should make decisions that will impact not only this lifetime, but 10, 100 lifetimes ahead, right? I mean, like, I'm kind of like talking about big decisions, right? I'm not talking about like, what should I have for dinner? What? It's not like the decision that's related to our physical body, but the decision that will impact society, right? Or the other way to see that is that I'm not going to be involved, I'm not going to make a decision, right? And then we are implying by the definition we are not doing good, so by default we are doing evil, right? And there is another question that's not here, but if you're not, Kardec asked, oh, if I'm not doing good, but also I'm not harming anyone, what is this? It's evil, right? Because we are enable, the outcome of that situation that you are not involved because you are not doing good to, be bad, right? You have a question, comment? Thank you, Wendell.
Yeah, comment. I really liked this chapter, the presentation of the points that were made. And one thing that caught my attention, and I actually liked as well, how this idea of like the discernment is linked with the reality. And to me, it comes also in connection with honesty, right? So self-awareness is more of like you knowing yourself and accepting the reality that you are. And in order to follow this principle of do unto others what you would like to do unto you, is you need to know who you are in order to know if you would be okay with it, those things that you would do to others. So it is, it's almost like I'm looking at a cycle, right? Like everything is linked, everything is connected. There is no discernment if you don't have self-awareness. There is no charity, there's no
No,
good
there is
shot.
discernment, but the outcome of those discernment
Yeah.
may not be a good outcome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked the presentation, and this part of the moral evolving, like the more evolution we all have to go through, it starts within, right? So you need to really be aware of who you are to be able to develop all this
Yeah.
other moral and intellectual intelligence.
Yeah, thank
That's it.
you, Agnes. Yeah, the self-awareness is very tricky because to know ourselves is a lot of work, right? And we're not gonna go deep in psychology, but we know that our unconsciousness represent, like, I don't know, 70%, 80% of our conscious, or like 95%. So there is that iceberg, and there is that little things in psychology that tell us. And if we add spiritism on that, that corroborate very well with this teaching, psychology teaching, how many incarnation we had before. And even if we say nowadays, I know myself, we don't. Why? Because when we say I know myself, maybe you are telling this in an environment that is very friendly. Now, the question is, do you only know ourselves when we are in an environment that's not friendly? If you come to us and say, hey, I'm a very patient guy, it's easy to say here in the Spirit Center, right? It's easy for us to become suffer. I'm patient. But the question is, let's put you in a place where, with a lot of noises that you'll be tested. And then if you pass the test, then you can say you have that virtue. And very few people has those virtues in this level that we are. Guys, for those that are watching us online, those that will be watching us this talk later, thank you so much. I hope you feel inspired to go and read this chapter. Kirsten was not here today, but I'm pretty sure she's saying the good thoughts I'm capturing here because we have some connections. And I hope, Kirsten, I have, did a good job here for you. I know that if you are here, it would be much better, but it's a great opportunity for me to learn how to, and to learn about this topic of discernment. Thank everyone. We're going to move now for just final short prayer, and then we're going to be offline to continue our service here. So I would like, if you can just put a little music over there, and we're going to do our final prayer. Let us then take this moment and be grateful for this opportunity that we have been studying and learning with these teachings of our dear benefactor, Joana de Angelis. And we conclude our activity tonight by saying the best of us, our sentiments, our thought, to all those that are in despair, all those that are in the hospitals, battling the disease of the physical body, those that are find also their mental health. We pray for them. We pray for our whole planet. Those areas of wars, of hunger, may the need of help can be bring to them. We pray for each one of us present here and those that are watching us. May they receive the blessings of our dear Spirit's benefactors. And most of all, may our thoughts, our central desire, become a positive habit in our life to focus on the goodness, to bring what Jesus has taught us, only good to those as if we would like to receive the goodness from others. With that, we conclude our service tonight. in the physical plane, and so be it.